leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Netflix buffering, YouTube spinning, devices not connecting, Zoom calls dropping. It's frustrating. Let's end your frustration by signing up for fiber internet in Clinton. Click the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus, offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. From a Clintonia Eagle Theater Facebook post, opened on February 6, 2004, every industry was hammered by COVID and the complications of the post-COVID economy, but the entertainment industry was hit even harder with an actor strike and writer strike very shortly after. Thus, the Eagle Theaters will be closing all 3 of their locations, including the Clintonia Eagle in Clinton. Owner Eric Gubelman indicates that for more than 2 years, it's been clear that any revival would require recapitalization and honest reckoning with the fact that the old debt structures no longer match the realities of the business. Gubelman says this may not quite be the end of the story. 6 months ago, he had assumed any attempt of revival would mean negotiating with multiple creditors, a maze of competing interests, and very little daylight. Due to the foreclosure process, there may be soon a single bank, a single decision maker, and a clean opportunity to move the building off the books and forward into something new. Their investor has indicated a willingness to participate in that process if his prerequisite project clears its final hurdles. It's also possible that another entrepreneur, a theater group, or a community-minded buyer takes a look and asks whether there's still a viable future there. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Lincoln City Council to discuss no-knock list. The DeWitt County Development Council is celebrating one of its most momentous years of all time. On the WHOW Morning Show Monday, Executive Director Kurt Homan told the Heart Media Group 2025 was filled with a trio of announcements that are going to be enormously beneficial to Clinton and DeWitt County.
There are a lot of highlights, to be honest with you, but we could start with really the big 3, big announcements, I think, for Clinton and DeWitt County. But of course, QuickWall, the announcement of them to come in with their manufacturing facility, Meyer Utility Structures, in doing the same thing. And they're not officially up and running yet, but that is coming extraordinarily soon. Mm-hmm. Of course, the Constellation Meta Energy deal announcement. I mean, if I had to highlight the 3 huge impacts for DeWitt County, it would absolutely be those 3, and those are significant for sure. They're in production now. Mm-hmm. They don't have all of the lines running yet, but they are working and they're producing out of this location, and there'll be more added in the upcoming weeks very, very soon. So at the former R. Donnelly, we did help with a hiring event for them, and I know they were able to hire a significant number of employees, and they're still looking for more employees as well with that. But yeah, that really they kind of made, if I had to recall, it was early in the year around March that they made the final decision that Clinton was going to be their location, if I remember right. Those talks, of course, started before then, but it was at that moment, and it really did put a good start to the year for sure. And then you're right. Then Constellation was shortly thereafter, so just lots of good news.
While the DCDC had nearly zero involvement in the Meta and Constellation Energy announcement from last summer, Homan says that it is going to be an enormous benefit to the community by not only keeping the power plant operating for many more years, but also the financial investment back into the community.
Yeah, so I want to point out that DCDC had zero or almost zero to do with that. That deal. We're very supportive of Constellation and their efforts to secure licenses and all of those things, of course. But in terms of that deal, we didn't have zero to do with it whatsoever. But they feel like it is a great economic benefit to them, and that's a good thing for DeWitt County. So
Sure.
they have a lot more insight into that, but I can tell you that the anytime you make the national news for a good reason, it's a positive.
The announcement of Myers Industries in the former Arcosa location was momentous in 2026 as well, and Homan anticipates them beginning production in 2026 and says to be on the lookout for hiring events in the next few months.
I say they're not officially going. They actually have a handful of people producing a few things out there at this point. We're going to be helping with a hiring event for them as well. The expectation is still yet this month. The number of employees they're going to hire is going to be fairly significant. It will compete for their largest facility in the nation. Actually, anywhere they have facilities of this structure. We're excited to have that, and again, some great jobs that are going to come along with that.
Sure.
Mostly, welders is the biggest area that they're going to be looking, but also again another exciting benefit. And we add those three together, and I like to point out it's roughly 10% of the population of Clinton will be coming in new jobs. So
Wow.
that's pretty significant just in those three announcements right there.
DeWitt County is now home to 2 new banks in Clinton and Farmer City. Homan says that it is always great when a banking institution is willing and able to set up shop in communities like these.
And banks, that's a great one to mention. Longview Bank had made the commitment. They built a building here, opened up. That was exciting news for Clinton. Anchor State Bank towards the end of the year last year, announced a loan production office for Farmer City.
Sure.
And they'll be up and running. The expectation is by the end of the month, give or take a week or two.
Okay.
In Farmer City again. And then, Heartland Bank announced a new building, which is exciting.
Homan credits the big moves in 2025 to so many people in Clinton, Farmer City, and DeWitt County government, all pulling in the same direction and having the same priorities for the betterment of the community.
Again, I've been with DCDC since the beginning, and I really do feel like it probably is the most momentous time. And again, we want to keep that momentum. We want to keep that momentum moving forward. Yeah. And I really, I have to point out how we came about and all of those things, and especially the last several years, it's really the county and the county board have really put a lot of faith in what we were doing. They saw that, that we were doing the right things, even if we don't have the banner 2025 year, in every year, but they saw we were making significant progress and strides. They kept funding us, and we kept working. So I really have to put a lot of faith in that. And then I also, one of the things, we can really attribute that to is the belief in our, local city leaders. That's, Clinton, certainly, Farmer City, certainly, that have said economic development is important to us. And we want to keep this ball. So they've actively taken a role in economic development. And I know when people come in here and talk to you, many times top of the conversation is economic development. And when I listen to that makes me feel really good.
While 2025 was a banner year for the DCDC, Homan is very excited about what is to come for the organization in 2026. We'll have more with him on that in the days ahead at the Heart Media Group. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs. with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at baumchevybuick.com right from the start.
Experience the power of better connection with Connexus Fiber Internet. Connexus delivers ultra-fast, reliable speeds to keep you connected at the speed of life. Whether you're working from home, streaming your favorite shows, or gaming with your friends, Connexus has you covered. Say goodbye to buffering and dropped calls and say hello to fiber fast internet. Ready to upgrade your connection? Sign up today by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
News time is 19 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The city of Lincoln is following another central Illinois community in the effort to improve residents' quality of life. Mayor Tracy Welch indicates that the city's police chief, Joe Meister, came to him with a program utilized by the Monticello Police Department. He says it is called the no-knock list, which is given to solicitors when they apply for a permit and tells them which houses they cannot go to.
Our chief police, Joe Meister, he saw this same program from Monticello, and he looked into it, and then he's brought this to the council for consideration. Him and I have spoke about it. It's what's called a no-knock list, and essentially it's a way of registering your property. And when solicitors come to town and we issue a permit to solicitors, they'll be given this list, and we're going to create an electronic version of it, similar to what Monticello does. And these are houses that they should stay away from. People have expressed an interest in not being solicited to. And so in the interest of improving, the community experience and quality of life, we're going to implement this in addition to our no solicitors program already. So yeah. We've already had solicitor dialogue out there. We publish a list of people that's in the community when they get a permit, so that if someone does come, you can ask and say, are you on the list? Do you have a license? I see this as an enhancement to our program.
The city already has an anti-soliciting program in place that requires solicitors to register. This gives residents a chance to stop and report solicitors who fail to get permission from the city.
So our current program is if a solicitor, let's say somebody selling solar energy, comes to City Hall and they want to get a permit to go door to door, our clerk's office processes that. And then once they are issued a permit, they go on our city website. So now if, say, my neighbor has someone knock on their door, they can pull the list up on the website and see if that person is actually registered to be soliciting in Lincoln. Because that's part of our ordinance, is you have to be registered. If not, then they need to go to City Hall and they need to get a permit. And we have had instances, I've even done it myself, where I ask for their permit and license, and if they can't produce it, then I instruct them on how to do that. They usually don't know until I go, oh, by the way, I'm the mayor. Nice to meet you. And it's a nice, cordial conversation. Sometimes they just don't know. But I just see this as taking it one step further to say we have them in our community, but now we're allowing residents to say, okay, they're in our community, but I don't want them coming to my door. So we're going to do our best to help that. I think we'll implement that without much problem. We've already done some homework on that from the guideline perspective with the chief. I know our clerks spoke to their clerk over there. And then also I've spoke with our IT guy for our website to see what we can put in. So we're on it. I think we'll implement it soon, and we'll see how it goes.
Mayor Welch indicates that residents will be able to go online or call City Hall to register. While the list will feature your address, he notes that it will not be paired with your name to avoid security and privacy risks.
The idea, you'll be able to call City Hall too, but the idea is that any resident can go out to the website, they can subscribe to the no-knock list, and then a solicitor, or anybody for that matter, will be able to come out and pull up lists. And I don't think we're going to have a list that's going to have name and address paired, because that creates security privacy issues. But we will have addresses, and addresses are public information. And a solicitor, they may get a list when they come to town, but 2 months later, they may not be sure. So before they go canvassing, they can plug in all the addresses and make sure. Because
Got it.
if somebody does come to a door and that person has said, we do not want to be solicited to intentionally, then we'll have to have some education from the police department on how to proceed in the community. Well, we've already talked about it in council. I believe we'll probably see that. I don't know if it's going to hit the next COW, the committee of the whole meeting. It's where we do all of our open discussions about topics.
Okay.
And then we decide if we're going to put it on the voting agenda the following week. So I think in January for sure we'll get it taken care of.
The mayor hopes that this change will help improve the quality of life of Lincoln's residents. The holiday season is behind us, which for many is an uplifting time. But as we turn the page on a new year, the cold and shorter days wear on many as well. Tony Kirkman is the executive director of the Piatt County Mental Health Center and indicates it is often a perfect storm for many people as this time of year prevents the necessary habits of good mental health.
Yeah, so I would say, Seth, as the holiday cheer starts to diminish a little bit and we start rolling into 2026, everything that you started talking about, a lot of people, this is a difficult time and there's some tragic things that you see on the news, all different types of horrible stuff, but they look forward to the holidays because it's a chance to escape temporarily. The problem is that, and the old saying says, no matter where you go, there you are. So you can't just run from your problems, you have to address them. So yeah, we do know that seasonal affective disorder, although not recognized as an official mental health issue, does hold some weight with behaviorism. All of the fun holiday stuff is done. A lot of the social interactions go away, loss of sunlight, loss of physical activity. And those are all horrible, horrible things for positive mental health because we want you outside, we want you with sunlight, we want you active, we want you to positively be reframing things.
Kirkman encourages finding organizations or activities in your community that are not only going to keep you physically engaged and moving, but also socially engaged. Additionally, practicing gratitude is a great way to ward off those winter blues.
I would say this is a perfect opportunity. I want to do a big plug for wonderful organizations like the Clinton YMCA. It's be a good time to start looking into programs. One, not only will they keep you physically active, they will have you socially engaged. All wonderful things for your behavioral health. I would also be trying to find things that give yourself purpose and value. So it is scientifically proven that those that practice selfless acts and being more socially conscious and gracious, they practice gratefulness, have more positive mental health. So find a good charity. There's always somebody in need that you can make their day a little bit better, and you can make that choice. Mm-hmm. I have a good friend here in town that has told me repeatedly, and it's probably one of the most pivotal things that I've ever heard in my entire life. And he said, every morning we wake up and we have the choice to shine light or darkness into this world. It's our choice. So make wise choices.
According to Kirkman, the news of the day can often get a person down as we are exposed to the tragedies of the world in real time. He indicates it can leave a helpless feeling knowing there are bad things happening and there is not much we can do about it.
It might not all be helpful for you because, it's about clicks. It's about engagement. It's about viewership. And I'll tell you this. I'm driving down the road and I see somebody fixing a flat tire. I don't slow down. I drive by and I see a car crash. I slow down. Why is that? Neither one of them engage me, but it seems like our brains are sadly geared for looking or being intrigued by tragedy and less engaged when we see positivity. And I don't know why that is. Fred Rogers once said when he watched some horrible stuff on TV that his mom gave him the best advice and said, whenever you see tragedy, look for the helpers. And I think that's where we need to go.
Kirkman also warns against getting caught in the trap of playing the comparison game when on social media. He reminds you are seeing everyone's highlight reels and oftentimes not the many things that challenge them throughout the day. The American Farm Bureau Federation annual convention opens later this week. Illinois Farm Bureau President Philip Nelson expects to hear plenty of discussion on the subject of ag labor.
The whole issue of having access to labor. You hear it from the West. California's got a problem with it because there are a lot more truck farms and they rely on a lot of migrant labor. And everything that's being talked about in this whole illegal immigrant discussion comes back to agriculture because we utilize those people. I mean, it's tough to hire people on the farm today, to get people that can do what you need to do in your farming operation. And I've heard that from a whole host of people.
The AFBF annual convention is January 9th through the 14th in Anaheim. Now for your local obituaries. Glenna Arlene Sears Willis, 71, of Clinton, passed away at 4:24 p.m. January 2nd, 2026, at her home in Clinton. Arrangements are incomplete at Calvert Funeral Home in Clinton. Online condolences may be made at calvertmemorial.com. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device. Best of all free, all the time, right at your fingertips at DeWittDailyNews.com.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Congress has been briefed on the capture of Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro, a closed-door briefing delivered by top Trump administration officials. Maduro and his wife are in detention in New York following their arraignment yesterday. The deputy White House chief of staff says the interim president of Venezuela, former Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, has been cooperating with U.S. officials. Lawmakers in the House are expected to vote this week on overriding 2 of President Trump's vetoes. Deaths of on-duty U.S. law enforcement officers fell by almost 25% last year. That according to the...
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. In a game heard on WHOW and all its digital platforms, the Clinton Maroons outscored their opponents 17-4 in the second quarter and beat the El Paso-Gridley Lady Titans by a final score of 57-36 in non-conference high school girls basketball action on Monday night in Clinton. The game was tied at 9 after the first quarter, but Carly Anderson went on an individual 11-0 run at the end of the second to give them the 26-13 halftime lead. After the break, the two teams would once again be evenly matched, with Clinton scoring 18 to the Lady Titans 17. The Lady Maroons would pull away in the fourth. Anderson led all scorers with 20 points for Clinton, with 12 coming from beyond the arc. Lila Kluver and Clara Dempsey each had 14 points. The team shot 10 for 14 from the foul line. The Lady Titans were led by Miley Earhart, who had 13 points, while 6-foot freshman Edie Stauder had 8. With the win, Clinton improves to 14-4, while EPG falls to 7-9. The Lady Maroons go on the road on Friday when they take on the 14-2 Hayworth Lady Hornets. Tip-off is at 5:30 p.m. Tune into the next Clinton Maroons sports broadcast when the boys take on the Shelbyville Rams on Friday, January 16th. Hear all the action on WHOW and all its digital platforms. Tip-off is at 7:30 p.m. The Monticello Lady Sages only managed 7 points in the first half and fell to the Paris Lady Tigers by a final score of 35-60 in non-conference high school girls basketball action on Monday night in Paris. The Lady Tigers controlled the first half, taking a 37-7 lead by halftime. The Lady Sages would fight back outscoring Paris 28-23 in the second half, but the comeback effort would come up short. Monticello was led by Sarah Cressup, who scored 11 points. Allie Widener added 9 points. Paris was led by Macy Bicknell, who scored 22 points and shot perfect from the floor. Peyton Keys added 20 points and also did not miss a shot. The team shot 17 for 26 from the charity stripe. With the loss, Monticello falls to 10-6, while Paris improves to 13-2. The Lady Sages are back at it tonight when they host the Normal West Lady Wildcats. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. at the Seaver Center in Monticello. Tune in tonight as the Monticello boys take on the Teutopolis Wooden Shoes in T-Town. Hear all the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. Miles Sandsted's extra point for the Montana State Bobcats went through the uprights in overtime for a 35-34 victory over the Illinois State Redbirds Monday night in the football championship subdivision title game. The Bobcats led 21-7 at halftime and 28-14 in the third. They needed Jace McMillan's block of Michael Constantino's 38-yard field goal attempt with 57 seconds left in regulation to keep the game tied at 28. In overtime, Justin Lamson tied it with a 14-yard touchdown pass to Taco Dowler on 4th and 10. Hunter Parsons blocked Constantino's extra point attempt after Tommy Rittenhouse gave Illinois State its only lead at 34-28 to open overtime. Stansted's kick started the celebration of the end of a long title drought. Lamson finished with 280 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 2 more scores. Dowler had 8 catches for 111 yards. Rittenhouse finished with 311 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. Victor Dawson ran for 126 yards, and Dylan Lord had 13 catches for 161 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Illinois State made big defensive plays to give the Redbirds a chance. They forced Montana State 3 and out on consecutive drives in the fourth for a chance at the win and had 3 sacks. And Fernie Simons scored 27 points. Peyton Pritchard had 21, and the Boston Celtics held the Chicago Bulls to 33 points in the opening half of a 115-101 victory on Monday night. Neemias Queta added 13 points and 13 rebounds for Boston, which won its 4th straight game and for the 8th time in 9 games. Jaylen Brown was held to 14 points on 6 of 24 shooting, one game after tying his career high with 50 points in a victory at the Los Angeles Clippers on Saturday. Mattis Buzelis scored 26 to lead the Bulls, who were nearly held under 100 points in their 2nd straight loss after falling at home against Charlotte on Sunday. The Celtics led by 21 points at halftime and weren't threatened by the cold shooting Bulls until a modest charge in the closing 5 minutes. Chicago was missing leading scorer Josh Giddey with a hamstring injury. The Bulls cut it to 106-96 on Nikola Vucevic's three-pointer with 3 minutes and 34 seconds to play. Chicago didn't reach the 100-point mark until just over a minute left. Boston led by 17 at the end of one quarter, and despite shooting only 32.7% late in the second quarter, pushed its advantage to 49-27 on Brown's short jumper in the lane. Pritchard hit a fadeaway 3 at the buzzer, making it 54-33 at halftime. The Bulls were threatening a team record low points for a half, 23 set against Miami on April 10th, 1999, before Javon Carter hit a pair of threes late. Chicago missed 20 of its first 23 attempts from beyond the arc. Boston wasn't much better, making only 5 of its first 19. The Bulls are at Detroit on Wednesday. The Celtics host Denver on Wednesday in the second of a 4-game homestand. Looking at the scoreboard from last night, the Detroit Pistons with a big win over the New York Knicks, 121-90. The Toronto Raptors beating the Atlanta Hawks 118-100. The Charlotte Hornets took down the reigning champions OKC Thunder 124-97. Houston beat Phoenix 100-97. Denver took down Philadelphia 76ers in a one-point game, 125-124, while Golden State fell to the LA Clippers in a one-point game, 103-102. Portland handled the Utah Jazz 137-117. In the NHL last night, the Anaheim Ducks fell to the Washington Capitals 7-4 in a very high-scoring game. The Utah Mammoth won over the New York Rangers 3-2 in overtime. Detroit Red Wings beat the Ottawa Senators 5-3, and the Seattle Kraken beat the Calgary Flames 5-1, while the LA Kings took down the Minnesota Wild 4-2. In NCAA basketball action, the 10th ranked Nebraska took down Ohio State 72-69 in a close game, while 12th ranked Michigan State had no problem with the USC Trojans 80-51. Get highlights of your local high school program anytime by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports at DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is staff meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki with your region.